When you've got a whole bunch of data in either Excel or Sheets, typically data is a bunch of numbers and text and not very interesting to look at. But we can make that better. We can go ahead and add a bunch of color to make this data more visual. So let's take a look at what we got here. I have a spreadsheet up right now, and it's got a bunch of fake names and numbers in it. And within this, I've decided, you know what, I want to use some banded rows or alternating colors. But even before I do that, I want to make sure that when I'm scrolling up and down here, or I'm grabbing the slider and I'm going over to the side, I don't want to lose the name column. I don't really want to lose this first column either. So I'm going to freeze those even before I start coloring things because it just makes life easier. I'm going to go up to View, Freeze, First Row. Now when I start scrolling, I'm actually going to see that Test 1, Test 2, Test 3 all stays put. I'm going to go up to View again, choose Freeze, and this time I'll choose the first column. When I choose the first column, of course, it means I can slide over now, and I'm not going to lose those names at all. So, next, I'm going to go ahead and add the alternating colors, the banded rows. So I click into the data here somewhere, I choose the Format menu again, and down near the bottom here we've got alternating colors. So I choose that. I get a little panel over at the side to manage all that stuff, and I decide, you know what, I do have a header, that's perfect, I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to go blue. So I slide down a little bit, and it shows me what's going on here. I'm going to have a header color, I'm going to have a nice white color, and then a pale blue color. I say done, I click once, and now I can see on this that I've got all this nice banded colors here that just makes tracking this information a whole lot easier. When I'm trying to track across it, it's easy to tell what row I'm on, especially if you tend to print information like this. It's a whole lot easier on paper to track across a large set of data when you've got these alternating rows. The other option I've got here, I have some more data, and I can, instead of ignoring all the numbers and just coloring the rows to make things easy that way, I can actually use these colors based on what's in the actual cells. So, what does that mean? It means I'm going to format all these columns here. Now, if I just click here, I come up to the Format menu, and I slide on down, I'm going to find Conditional Formatting. So, condition this based on, format this based on a condition. I'm not interested in single color in this case. It wouldn't be nearly as useful. And I'm not interested in just looking at G6. That's the cell I was clicked in when I went up to the menu option. So instead, I click the grid, I get rid of G6, delete, and I come up here and I click and drag across to select all of these columns. And I can see here it's grabbing me column C all the way to column K. And say OK. Much better, except for the green. Come up here to the color scale choice, and I don't like that one. I'm going to go with this green to red choice. There we go. Now I'm getting something. It's letting me know here the minimum value is going to be the solid green color. It's decided the middle option is 50 out of 100, obviously. And then the maximum value that it can discover in there is going to be this pink color, this red color, really. Well, maybe I've decided, you know what, all of these marks should be above 50. I'm hoping these kids are passing. So I'm going to say that the middle option is about 75. There we go. And now I see a whole lot less red, so it's really highlighting those kids that are doing well. And I can scroll down and say, done. So that's finished. All right, perfect. Maybe, though, I'm worried. I do want to see some of those kids that are below 50. So I'm going to go ahead and add another rule. And it's already got the entire chunk selected because I didn't change anything, so that makes that part easy. I want to use this, well, you know what, that's not even good enough. I want to make this really bright. I'm going to click on the paint bucket instead of going with the default style and say, I need yellow. Show me any kids here where the cell, or at least the data in the cell, let's see, is less than 50. And done. And where's my kids? Can't see them. It's not that the rule's not working. When I look over here, I can see that this color scale rule is on top of the yellow rule, and the order actually does matter. This one's being applied, and then this one's being applied on top of it. So the red to green options win. But I can change that. So as I hover over these options, you can see here I've got there. these little dots that appear on the very left edge of that. And when I hover, my mouse turns into these 4 arrow points. So I can click that and I can drag this rule down the list. And now it works. Suddenly this is being applied on top of this one, and I can see those numbers stand out now really well that are in fact below 50. I'm going to do one more rule. I'm going to get extra fancy here. I want to know which of these numbers is a true mark they received and which of these is maybe being calculated. So I'm going to add one more rule, still to the entire range. I'm going to go with that softer yellow color this time. And I'm going to say, you know what, I need a custom formula. So I'm not looking at dates or any of these other default choices, which are really nice, but I'm going to go custom so I can type in my formula. I'm going to say, you know what, in this case, let's do the entire sheet. Let me get rid of that for a moment. Backspace. To select an entire sheet, no matter what cell you're looking at, you actually don't click on a column or a row. Instead, you click right here in the top left corner. Click once. It selects everything in the entire spreadsheet. I'm going to say OK. My formula writes a little bit strangely. It's called is formula. And I only really need to reference the first cell. So I'm going to say A1. And done. I have the same problem. Oh, this got snuck in there. I'm going to get rid of that. Don't need him. Perfect. Now that is below again. So I have to take that. I have to drag it all the way up. There we go. And I can now suddenly see these average columns are the ones that are getting that yellow color. So I could leave it like that if that's what I wanted. I would just close the format rules and click once. There. Now I've got some nice red colors so I can find the kids doing great, the yellow ones to find the problem areas, and then these softer yellow columns are just the calculated averages. And if I decided, that's not so good, I want to get rid of those, I come up to the Format menu, I come down to Conditional Formatting, and I click anywhere into this space to find these 3 rules, and decide, you know what, this one, probably not that useful, and I will trash it. And now my average columns are being highlighted the same as everything else. And I can use that to get a nice visual look at my data and not have to nitpick through all of these numbers and such. Now that visual formatting is going to apply even when I change the order of things. So let's say I take this and decide, you know what, I want to order everything by this semester 1 average column. So I'm going to click, I'm going to sort. I get my highest ones at the top and my lowest at the bottom, and it's just going to continue to keep the formatting applied regardless of how I spin and sort this. So there's your look at how you can go ahead and use some of these colors, use some of this formatting options under that format menu, and base it on your data or just visually how you want to see these spreadsheets to make things a whole lot easier to read and a whole lot easier to understand the numbers and the data that you're looking at, especially on really big spreadsheets with a lot of information.